Mr. Bayo Rotimi joins us next as a business market analyst. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
You know, I was listening to the minister there. It actually sounded a bit contradictory. I thought, wait a minute, I thought you're supposed to be on the same page with the president when he was talking about this zero-based budgeting. But that clearly shows that, look, not everyone is on the same page with Mr. President. Or are we wrong to have that impression?
Well, I think the reality is this. The government, the federal government led by the president, he puts together a team of professionals around himself. He is the driver of the team. He's the captain of the team. Ultimately, every member of the team must essentially be singing from the same hymn sheet. So if we have a minister of the Federal Republic who openly is contradicting a stated position of government, then I think that some internal discussions need to take place. I think that the president and his team need to meet a lot more frequently. As a matter of fact, they probably need to lock themselves up somewhere. The clip we saw earlier, somebody was talking about the need for a vision and a direction. So I think that everybody, every member of the president's team needs to come together. There has to be unity of purpose. There must be clarity around direction, and everybody must have their marching orders. I think the fact that the ministers came in very late in November and sometime in December the budget had to be presented to the National Assembly, I think there was a disconnect. There was a lot of things were done in a hurry, and we're seeing the results right now.
But you had the permanent secretaries who were running the show at the time. So when the ministers came in, one would expect they'll just simple briefing and the handover take place before they then take it from there.
Well, to be honest, the controversies around the budget is disappointing, because government is meant to be a continuum, right? So whether the ministers are in place or whether a new administration has come on board, you should expect a fair degree of continuity. What I would have expected is certainly the permanent secretaries and the directors were in place. They largely put together the document. Now, what I am not sure about is the extent to which the incoming ministers were able to fully digest these documents, these budgets that the individual ministries, departments, and agencies had put together. Now, I would expect that a minister who has not had sufficient time to review what has been given unto him really has to lift up his hands and say, look, I cannot sign off on this until I am totally comfortable. If they have certain queries, they need to bring those queries to the table, because we really should not be in a situation right now when instead of hitting the ground running, we're debating about the accuracy of the numbers that are inside the budget. I have never seen ministers openly denounce their own departments or agencies or ministries' budgets. It's never happened before. So we really, really need to come together fairly quickly, lock ourselves up in a room, and agree on the way forward and let everybody align behind that common vision.
On this budget matter, would you be thinking that they took it for granted that all was well with that document, knowing full well that they also had a time that they had a retreat when they came in, and one would have thought that some of the technicalities involved in preparation of budgets, budgeting would have been discussed?
I think it's essentially a timing issue. I think that there is, inside of the federal government, I believe that we have a leadership, a president and a vice president who mean well for the nation. They have chosen a team. I believe that inside of the team they have chosen, there are well-regarded people. I think what is missing is, you talked about a retreat. I don't know the agenda, or I don't know what the agenda was for that particular retreat, but I doubt that it took a line-by-line view of this budget that was going to be presented. My view is that a lot of the intellectual rigor that should have taken place, first of all at the ministerial level, before it gets to the Federal Executive Council, before it is approved, before it is then presented at the National Assembly, I think that process was a bit rushed. The government was trying to hit the ground running for the first time in a long time. They wanted to bring out a budget before the end of one financial year so that hopefully the National Assembly could approve and we start implementing. So I think in the speed or in the hurry to get all of that done, clearly a lot of mistakes were made, clearly.
So now people are talking about repairing the budget, and now we're beginning to read on the front pages of papers, presidency, NAS, and secret deal to harmonize 2016 budget. Some people have said withdraw the budget, repair it, and then represent it. Some people have said, well, you can do the repairs in the National Assembly. What do you think?
My view is whichever route is taken, what is critical is, or what is clear to everybody is, the budget is in need of a complete overhaul. The budget breakdown is in the public purview. It is 1,800 pages. I have looked at that document almost line by line. I have seen a lot of inconsistencies inside of that document. So what needs to happen is, whether it is going to be a special session between the members of the executive arm of government and the National Assembly, or whether the federal government will go away, rework the budget and represent. I think what I am looking for, and I think what most Nigerians are looking for, is that this process be sorted out as quickly as possible. So my advice to government, the federal government today, is that all of the ministries, departments, and agencies should take a quick second look at this budget, clean it up as quickly as possible, then start the engagement with the National Assembly.
It helps a great deal that you've looked at the budget. Just wondering, what are some of the contradictions that you noticed, though?
Well, contradictions in terms of this government came into being, won a general election, and the expectation was that it will no longer be business as usual. We wanted to see a prudent government. We wanted to see a significant reduction in the cost of running government, simply because of the personal integrity of the president as well as the vice president. So that was the expectation. Now, but looking at that budget, it is very, very clear that a lot of the belt tightening that all Nigerians need to make was not fully reflected inside of that budget. I believe that the cost of running government can be significantly reduced given the economic realities in which we operate today.
Okay.
The way it is, you would say it's a good thing that the budget was made public by the president, right?
Without a doubt.
Unless you were able to go through that.
Certainly, and that is really, I think we have made significant progress over the years as a nation. Freedom of information, full disclosure of information is critical, because I could sit down in the comfort of my house or my office and take a look, go through the budget with a fine-tooth comb and see all of the areas. And I could come up and voice my opinions with regard to that. I could go to the National Assembly and challenge it. So openness is a virtue, and I really commend this government for continuing and expanding on that.
Such openness, looking ahead, do you think it would mean or seeing less and less of such paddings and anomalies? Because it would seem as if before now, you don't get to see the budget publicly published or uploaded online. Yeah. For those who were in the habit of trying to pad up and add up the budget, would have been, in business in the future. But with this, do you think they were likely to see a stop in that unwholesome attitude?
I do indeed. In a funny kind of way, I'm happy things turned out this way. I'm happy that the budget has come under this amount of scrutiny. What it shows is that Nigerians are more involved in their own affairs. They are more involved in the activities of government, especially with regard to how it impacts on their own daily lives and livelihoods. So I believe that this is clearly a step in the right direction. Certain people who may have been involved in padding and introducing all manner of fictitious numbers into the budget, those people now know that every Nigerian is looking at the budget. Every Nigerian can challenge the content of that budget. So I think we are holding government to a higher degree of responsibility. So I'm really happy with what is going on, because we actually need to get to this kind of situation. Let us take off the gloves and let us talk to each other eyeball to eyeball and get things running.
But this has come with a price. If this is not going to see any passage in the next couple of weeks, let's say maybe before March, that would have meant something for the country.
Without a doubt, and I'm not trying to downplay this in any way, this situation is unacceptable to the extent that a country whose economy is virtually comatose, the last thing we need is lengthy delays with regard to the budget. The budget is supposed to set the direction and the tone for the government or for the country, and it is important that that document is approved and passed as quickly as possible, and more importantly for the implementation to start. So initially we had a February 25th date given to us by the National Assembly. Now they have said clearly that date is no longer feasible. It has to be sometime in March. So it means that for the first 60 to 90 days, the country has been moving without a clear direction. So it is an unfortunate development, but I believe there is a learning process inside of here, and hopefully we will get it right going forward.